I swear to you, I have never been so blindsided in my life. I mean, I'm the kind of guy who shows up 30 minutes early just to get his work done, doesn't cut corners, never makes waves, but the next thing I know there's Karen next door, clutching her phone like it's a lifeline, dialing 911 as if she's just caught me cooking meth in my own driveway. And the wildest part? She wasn't even scared of me. She was scared of what I had in my case. Yeah, that happened. Ever get that sick, crawling feeling when somebody's working overtime to shut you down like they're terrified you'll find something they desperately want hidden? Let me know in the comments if you've ever been set up like that, because that's exactly what this felt like. I pull up in front of my house at 8:15 a.m. Tuesday, thinking it's just another routine stop. I'm Tommy City Environmental Inspector this block's on my rotation, and today's assignment is a scheduled mobile air check, public notice, and everything. I'm early, so I'm just calibrating my gear like I always do. Nothing wild. Or so I thought. Turns out, being early to your own job with official equipment makes you a menace in Barbara's world. The moment I step out with my case, she bolts out her front door face red, eyes wide like she just saw a ghost, full panic mode, screaming across her lawn. "What are you doing with that equipment so early?" Her voice is pitched so high it sounds like glass cracking. I pause, totally thrown. I've handled my share of nosy neighbors, but Barbara? She's looking at my air sampler like it's a bomb. I try to keep it professional. Just setting up routine air quality monitoring, Barbara. City work, scheduled weeks in advance. But she's not hearing a word. I could have told her I was there to hand out free puppies, and she still would have been clutching that phone. She backs away, glaring at my case like it's leaking radioactive goo. You know what I mean? The irony, of course, is that what we'd find later made her reaction look almost rational. I open my case. The LCD blinks red as the sampler kicks on, and Barbara just freeze mid-step, breath caught in her throat. She wasn't panicking because I was early. She was panicking because of what might get exposed. But logic, reason, city schedules, none of it mattered. She starts dialing 911, fingers shaking, but making sure I can see exactly what she's doing, and she's practically announcing to the street, "There's a man here with unauthorized chemical equipment, suspicious activities." At that point, I'm less mad than fascinated. This was so over the top, you almost had to laugh. But then, I see her glancing, again and again, not at me, not at my car, but at her own backyard. That's when I get this gnawing suspicion she's not worried about the equipment itself. She's terrified about what it might uncover. By now, we've got an audience. Mrs. Henderson, who's lived here forever, shuffles out with her walker. The couple from the corner come out onto their porch, and there are faces peeking out every window. Barbara's performance is drawing the whole block out. Mrs. Henderson asks, "What's happening out here?" in this shaky, worried voice I've never heard from her before. Barbara spins, points at me, and just lays it on thick. "This man has dangerous chemical equipment. He's threatening our community." Her voice echoes down the street, and I swear she could have made herself cry if she wanted to. Here I am, city inspector, there to protect public safety, and she's painting me like a terrorist. But I stay cool. You have to, right? Especially when neighbors start believing the show. 15 minutes later, Officer Mitchell rolls up one of those guys who's seen everything. Doesn't get rattled, just does his job. He asks, "Ma'am, you called about suspicious equipment?" With this neutral tone, which honestly, I respect. Barbara nearly hugs him. "Thank God you're here. He's using unauthorized chemical devices." She's waving her arms like she's conducting an orchestra. Officer Mitchell looks at my gear real professional, no drama. "Sir, can you explain what you're doing here?" "Routine environmental air quality testing, city permit. Here's the paperwork." I hand him my documentation, show him the standard monitors, nothing covert or dangerous. He nods, checks my ID, reviews the permits on my phone. He's thorough, but respectful. Barbara's voice is starting to break. Desperate now. "I don't care about permits. He shouldn't be here early." At this point, even the officer is picking up that something's off with her intensity. Then Mitchell asks the right question. "Ma'am, if he has permits and standard equipment, what specifically concerns you?" That's when it hits. Mesh doesn't care about procedure. She's scared of what I might find. I offer, would you like a demonstration? Because the truth is, the equipment's designed for transparency. Barbara loses it. No, that's unnecessary. We should wait for more authorization. But Mitchell nods. Actually, I'd like to see it. I set up the sensor, connect to my laptop, show him how the system calibrates normal readings out front, a little vehicle exhaust, nothing dangerous. Then, I swing the sensor toward Barbara's backyard and suddenly the numbers jump. Big time. Not just a blip, this is dangerous territory for a residential block. I try to play it cool, but my stomach drops. I say, that's interesting. Air quality's a lot worse in that direction. Barbara goes white as a sheet, staring at the screen like she just saw her own arrest warrant. Mitchell leans in. What kind of levels? The readings are clear as day-specific chemicals, far over safe thresholds, coming from her yard. The sensor starts beeping warnings. Neighbors lean in, and Barbara tries to grab my sensor. Turn that off. You have no right. Now the whole street's suspicious of her, not me. Mitchell holds firm. Ma'am, if there's a public safety hazard, we have to address it. That's when the floodgates open. Mrs. Henderson, bless her, pipes up. Officer, I've smelled something weird coming from Barbara's yard for weeks. Sweet, chemical, especially when it's hot. Other neighbors nod. A young mom says, my daughter's been coughing since last month. And now Barbara's backpedaling, lashing out at Mrs. Henderson, accusing her of spreading rumors. But the crowd's not buying it. People are tired of being scared. Barbara gets nastier, threatening people's jobs. Sarah, your husband works at the water department, right? Wouldn't want rumors to mess up his career. It's straight up intimidation. At this point, I can't keep quiet. Barbara, are you threatening people for reporting health problems? She doubles down. I'm protecting the community from hysteria. But the crowd's shifting. An older man calls out, if there's nothing wrong, why are you so scared of people talking? She's unraveling, raising her voice, pointing at me. He's creating panic with unauthorized testing. But the harder she pushes, the more people push back. The dad from earlier steps forward. If my kids are at risk, I want to know. Barbara tries to play the concerned leader, but everyone sees through it. False reports? That's official city equipment. The crowd's done with her act. It builds people with strollers, parents, retirees testify to symptoms, smells, and threats. Barbara's shrieking about conspiracy theories, but Officer Mitchell and now Dr. Wilson from the EPA are on site, setting up their own monitors. Barbara tries to bluff the federal investigator. No luck. Dr. Wilson's data lines up with mine, and the neighbors' stories fit together like puzzle pieces. That's when the real twist lands. Mike Sullivan, a nervous guy in a Green Valley landscaping shirt, shows up. Is this about the turf installation? He's pale, wringing his hands. Barbara tries to shush him, but Mike looks ready to burst. She paid me double to install industrial turf band materials. She said she could approve anything as HOA president. Threaten my business if I said no. Barbara's mask cracks. She tries to threaten Mike with lawsuits, but he laughs. Lady, I've got kids. I'm not going to prison to protect your cover-up. His texts and emails with Barbara demanding toxic materials, ordering him to cut drains under the fence are all there on his phone. She'd even tried to spread the contamination into neighbors' yards, and Mike's documentation proves it. Crowds in shock, parents furious, Mrs. Henderson heartbroken. Prosecutor Williams and Detective Rodriguez roll up, and suddenly, the whole block's a crime scene. They trace payments $70,000 in beautification reimbursements to Barbara. Matching dates with waste delivery and nights Mrs. Henderson documented trucks out back. Henderson's manila envelope, with photos, timestamps, and a surveillance log, ties it all together. At this point, Barbara's out of her mind, accusing me of planting evidence, insisting on wild conspiracies. But Rachel, my wife, shows travel records proving I was in Sacramento during the installation. The entire neighborhood, led by Mrs. Henderson, stands up and says, enough! Henderson's evidence, Rachel's ledger, Mike's confession, the EPA data all tell the same story. Barbara ran an illegal hazardous waste site out of her own backyard, endangered kids, threatened anyone who spoke up, all for cash. And still, Barbara tries to flee. We catch her at her car, stuffing bags of contaminated soil, paperwork, even shards of synthetic turf caught red-handed. Mitchell stops her. Officers seize the evidence, and Mrs. Henderson, calm and steady, delivers the final blow. Photos and videos of Barbara directing midnight waste burials, signing for envelopes of cash, supervising trucks pouring poison by the storm drain that runs straight to the elementary school. You could hear a pin drop when the full picture landed. Barbara's backyard wasn't just a crime scene. It was a toxic dump for profit. Her confession was ugly. I needed the money. We were facing foreclosure. Mrs. Henderson just shakes her head. You poisoned my grandchildren's playground for a paycheck. Prosecutors stack up the charges: environmental terrorism, child endangerment, tax fraud, conspiracy. EPA hazmat teams evacuate the street for cleanup. The block's in disbelief. Barbara's house gets sold for restitution. She does time, ends up cleaning contaminated sites in County Orange. Kids play safely in yards again. Mrs. Henderson watches from her porch. Neighbors trust each other. And every HOA contracts online, public, and monitored. Mike Sullivan helps restore what he helped destroy, talks about ethics at contractor seminars. Rachel's forensic work becomes a federal model for catching waste scams. Dr. Wilson's environmental protocols are used nationwide. The entire scandal unravels similar dump schemes in a dozen states, 47 more arrests, hundreds of communities protected. Our neighborhood comes back cleaner, stronger. We plant a garden where the dump was, turn it into a symbol of renewal. And if you think betrayal on this scale can't happen on your street, think again. It was the ones yelling community standards, the loudest, who were hiding the dirtiest secrets. That's the real lesson. Sometimes the people who accuse you the loudest are hiding the ugliest truths. So, if you're still here, share your take. Ever been accused of what the other person was doing? What's your story of neighborhood justice? Drop your thoughts below, hit like if you believe in standing up to bullies, and let's keep watching out for each other. The only way you beat darkness is by shining a light, one neighbor at a time.